Hey you guys, it's Christina. I wanted to share a video with you about why I started eating FullyRaw. Many of you guys know that I've been a low-fat raw vegan for 8 years now, and that I'm always in the kitchen, and that I'm always happy, and I'm vibrant, and I'm energetic, and that is totally me. But I've never really gotten to share with you why I went FullyRaw. Believe it or not, but over 8 years ago, I used to be hyperglycemic. For many of you who don't know, this is the onset of type 2 diabetes. So I used to have horrible blood sugar problems. I was about 15 pounds lighter than I am now. I'm about 5'7½", and I was 87 pounds. I was underweight, I had chronic fatigue, I had the worst migraines you could possibly ever imagine, some that would keep me in a dark room for about 8 hours on end, and I felt nauseous pretty much every morning when I woke up. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but those are pretty much the symptoms of hyperglycemia. Many may not know that hyperglycemia means that your blood sugar is too high, not too low. And I wasn't eating very awful foods either. I'm half Ecuadorian and I'm half Lebanese. My mom is from Lebanon, my dad's from Ecuador. I grew up eating dishes of beans, chicken, rice, things that I thought were healthy but were actually very fatty. And my mom used to put olive oil on everything. So I was pretty much eating a high-fat diet. I was actually overeating on pretty much everything I could get my hands on because A, I was really tiny and underweight, and B, I just wanted energy and I just wanted to feel better. I was diagnosed when I was 16, but my symptoms really didn't start getting bad until I was about 17, 18. In high school, I was pretty much hospitalized maybe, I would say, once a month for dehydration, chronic fatigue, vomiting, migraines, whatever it may have been. But I remember having to go into the hospital and get tons of IVs just so that I could get some type of vitamins or minerals in me to feel better. And I will never forget, one day after I'd gotten out of the hospital, I was in Whole Foods and I was digging through the granola bin, and a man walked up behind me and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Excuse me, are you a raw foodie?" And I kind of popped up really quickly and I was like, "A raw what?" And he started telling me about how he eats nothing but fruits and vegetables and how he juices every day and how he's super healthy, and that he had been eating raw foods, hadn't cooked his foods for about 18 years at the time. You can imagine being an 18-year-old girl, I was blown away. I mean, nowadays, it's okay to talk about being vegan or vegetarian or raw, but 8 years ago, this was almost taboo. Taboo, right? So I listened to him, and although I was really scared about what I was hearing, I kept my heart open and I kept my ears open because I'm curious about so many things. I took his card home, and I remember going home that night and telling my family that I had met a rabbit man. Little did I know that I felt sick again that night, and I ended up going back into the hospital the next day. I knew that my symptoms were getting worse because rarely ever did I go into the hospital one day and go right back in the next. So right after I got out of the hospital, I gave him a call, and he told me that he would meet me at Whole Foods and he would meet me there for a few hours, and he would just tell me all about my body, what it was doing, why I had blood sugar issues, and whatnot. So I will tell you that this was the biggest blessing of my life, just somebody tapping me on the shoulder and introducing themselves to me and telling me about why eating fruits and vegetables in their natural state is amazing. It changed my life. I met with him that day in Whole Foods, and by the way, his name is John Rose. And we talked maybe for about 3 or 4 hours that day just about why my blood sugar was doing what it was doing, why I was eating what I was eating and why that was unhealthy, and why perhaps I had felt trapped by society to think something totally different than what I should have been thinking. So he told me, "Look, why don't you just try eating raw for just a few days and see how you do? See if it makes you feel better." Well, me being hyperglycemic, of course I told him, "I can't eat fruit, I have blood sugar issues." He was like, "Don't worry about it, let me explain this to you. It's a different type of sugar. It's a simple sugar, it's a simple carbohydrate. It'll be broken down by your body so much easier." So, what did I have to lose? Absolutely nothing. I only had health to gain. So keep in mind, I was 87 pounds at the time. I walked out of Whole Foods that day with 80 pounds of peaches. That was 3/4 of my body weight. And I was determined to eat nothing but peaches for 2 weeks straight, to clean my body, to freshen my palate, and to totally re-energize and revitalize my life. I will tell you this, after 3 days of eating nothing but peaches, I was walking okay, I hadn't had a migraine, and I even started to notice my blood sugars were stabilizing. Now, how crazy is that? After about 2 weeks of eating nothing but peaches and fruit, I started to reintroduce more vegetables and leafy greens. I started to notice myself gain a little bit of weight, and still, after just 2 weeks, I felt fine. I wasn't going back to the hospital, and my whole family pretty much thought I was crazy, but it didn't matter because I was feeling a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. After 30 days of eating 100% fully raw, just fruits and greens, I knew something was different. I hadn't been back to the hospital. I felt amazing. I was gaining weight, and my skin was freshening up. I was making a difference, and believe it or not, I even felt like going to walk. And for me, that's huge because I was not always a very athletic girl growing up. I was pretty much always a last girl running in PE, and even though I did swim team, I was still really slow. I didn't really have energy to finish anything. So even after 1 month, 30 days felt like nothing, but eating raw every day became a habit. After 6 months of eating raw, I knew that my heart was invested. I had been reading, I had been researching, I had absolutely fallen in love with eating beautiful food, feeling beautiful, and wanting to just figure out a way to get this message out. I had gained the weight that I needed to gain, I had just gone to college, and I was feeling amazing. This whole experience, just from being 18 and adapting a raw foods lifestyle, going from really sick to feeling surprisingly amazing all of the time, it was very different. I was a very different Christina. I was very introverted, I was not as bubbly as I am now, I didn't have as much to share, and I definitely was not this internally happy. I think that the food that I was eating had no life in it, therefore I didn't have any life. I didn't feel like I had life. But then when I started eating foods that were enriching, my whole body felt invigorated, my spirit felt alive. This whole experience is what led me to go to college, to start Rawfully Organic, to intern with Dr. Graham, to learn as much as I could about raw food. And here I sit today, 8 years later, still 100% fully raw, healthy as ever. A quick story is that I actually haven't been back to the doctor since the day that I went to Whole Foods and since the day that I got out. I actually had to call my doctor for my medical records about 2 years ago, and she barely recognized me. Texas law states that they're not allowed to keep your medical records past you 3 years of not being there. So believe it or not, but my doctor's records, my doctor didn't even have my records. They were gone. So while I was scared at first because I was like, oh my gosh, where are my medical records? I was actually quite relieved to think, oh my gosh, I've completely cleaned out my slate. I have a clean slate. So here I sit 8 years later, 100% fully raw, feeling totally alive in my skin. I run Rawfully Organic, which is the largest nonprofit food cooperative in the United States right now. I get to feed 7,500 families in Houston, over 500 families a week. I get to make recipes for you guys. I get to share my story. I have the most beautiful friends and family in my life who love and appreciate my message and who happen to embrace it and share it with me. And it is so beautiful. And I get to share this with all of you guys. Now, how cool is that? I find that I am so healthy now. I feel amazing, and that I am nowhere near where I used to be. So that's it. That's how I got started eating fully raw. And I really wanted to share my story because not a lot of people know that I used to be sick, or how I got into making recipes or videos, or why I like to run, or why I love being athletic now. But I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope that that inspires you if you're struggling on beginning or wanting to start eating raw, or just incorporate more fruits and vegetables into your diet. If you guys need more tips or tricks or recipes on how to go fully raw, please subscribe to my channel so that I can share with you everything that I know. I can make recipes with you in the kitchen, whatever it may be, and we can have fun together. You guys can also check out both my websites because I have my bios there, I have my recipes there. I love my websites. They're FullyRaw.com and RawFullyOrganic.com. Raw Fully Organic is the co-op I run in Houston, and FullyRaw.com is where I share all of my knowledge to you on how to eat 100% a raw foods diet. If you guys want to follow me daily, you can also find me at Facebook or on Instagram or on Twitter or on Pinterest at FullyRaw Christina. I send you all my hugs, and I am so thankful that you guys took the time out of your day to listen to me. Thank you so much. Big hugs.